please can I exist? Jealousy. Please can I exist? Anger. And society is like, no, be a robot. You need nothing to fear but fear itself.
That's terrifying.
Are you willing to go into the cave of your mind? The subconscious part, where memories are stored. Into the cave. Are you willing to go into the cave of your heart, where trauma lives? Are you willing to go into the cave of your life, to look for the skeletons that need to be examined? Remember our choice. To find your voice. I know. Are you willing to choose the cave when times are rough? Things get rough. When you've had enough. I know sometimes. Are you willing to go into the cave, into the void, into the quiet spaces of your being, to find your true self? Into the void, into the cave.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone out there. Welcome to episode 6. It is episode 6. Wow. Episode 6 of Into the Cave. Let's start with just taking a breath together so that we can get on the same page. All right. Taking a deep breath in through our nose, breathing in, out of the mouth. Taking another breath in through our nose, breathing in, holding it, and then releasing it out of the mouth. We're going to take one last breath in through the nose, breathing in, holding it, and then slowly releasing it out of our mouth. Welcome everyone to episode 6 of Into the Cave. Thank you for joining. We have 2 individuals here in the cave with us today. We have Preena Chan and we have Andrew Vanderveen.
Yes.
I will let them introduce themselves. As you know, here on Into the Cave, you don't have to go through your whole resume or anything like that. It's more about the core of who you are as an individual. And then, how do we know each other? I'll give a little snippet. This woman right here, if it was not for this woman right here, you all wouldn't even be watching this right now. He said, wow.
Mysterious. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ominous. I love it.
Well, it is, though, because I think, and we'll get deeper into this because this is just coming through right now, we forget the people who literally came across our path to get us to our next step.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, people come into our lives and then they're forgotten when we move to the next level. And there's some people that are literally just givers, that are literally just care givers, you know? And those people tend to be left behind. Why do I know that? Hey, team. Hey, team caregivers, you know? Right? Like, and then let's be real. When we don't speak up as caregivers and say, hey, I'm tired, or let's say, I need support, I need extra help, right? When we don't do that, something called resentment builds. Yeah. And then we bubble inside until explosion. And oftentimes, The other people were just too busy to look back and understand, like, oh, shoot, I forgot to pour into the cup that poured into me. Not here, not on Into the Cave. We don't roll that way. Preena, who are you?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Preena Chand. I've known this woman for well over 8 years, and she's a sister, a friend, and I am an expressive arts therapist in training, but also I am a multimodal artist, and I'm also a caregiver, and I loved our process of even birthing the idea of Into the Cave, and I'm just grateful to be here, and also grateful to see, where you've taken it socially, visibly, and I am looking forward to the transformation that is occurring between us as friends, as partners, as caregivers, and also I'm looking forward to the transformation that is occurring with all of you, with how you reflect on the things that we talk about on Into the Cave. And yeah, I'm just grateful.
Thank you. Andrew is another multifaceted being, individual, artist, musician, and I would say young adult, really living the life that he has envisioned for himself, and maybe at one point didn't even believe that life was possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a creator. You guys can go check me out and read my energy if you want during this session. Like, there's many different ways I think people can connect with me beyond my words, and I think that's, as a Mercury and Scorpio, that's how I would like to be received the best. Just the deeper layers of me, and seeing that. Yeah.
For me, like, what's coming up for me is having you here, like in this space, knowing where you were and how much work you've done to get to where you are today. You said grateful. I'm grateful because I've gotten an opportunity to watch that, to be a part of that journey and see you literally say, yeah, actually, I'm ready.
Yes.
Like, I'm ready, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I don't need you anymore.
With love.
With love, and also, we get to check ourselves as healers if we like the feeling of being needed, right?
True, yeah.
Because it's, I don't want you to need
Yeah.
me. I don't want you to need to go through this process. It's more about you choosing what you want to experience for yourself, and me being a supportive, I would say, guide. While I'm not even guiding anything, I'm walking behind you. I see where you're going. And I'm like, hey, maybe right to the right, there's like a rock right there. You might not want to step on it. And sometimes I think it is important, and this is actually going to tie in, I think, a very powerful message of this episode, rupture and repair, right? Like, as I mentioned, that feeling when you feel left behind, or that feeling when, you feel misunderstood, and it's like, we want people to read our minds sometimes. I'll call myself out. Like, sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, how do you not see I need help? Right?
Yeah.
Right? And people are like, man, I can barely see my own path. I'm trying to focus on that.
Yeah.
And like, you're angry at me, right? So things, I would say, healing, as much as we, I would say, put it in this pretty package of a spa treatment or a trip to an island, we've, oh man, I lost it. I lost my thought.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It comes back. It comes back.
Yeah. That part.
Or it doesn't and we move on. Period, yes. That was cute.
You were talking about how we as people, as caregivers, as just people, how we maybe want or maybe unconsciously, subconsciously assume that people can read our minds, that when we need help, that people will ask us if we need help. And that's not always the case. And yeah, the majority of the time. And that's because sometimes we're also like living in here and we don't even know that we're living in here. But I think when we do, when we're talking about rupture and repair, a lot of that has to do with us asking for support, and not building the resentment when other people aren't, when they may not know what's happening within us. Because you and I, especially, we may operate as, and probably a lot of you also maybe operate as people who kind of have it together. You know, like there's, you know, they're able to handle leadership roles and leadership positions, and they're able to be like matriarchs of their households, and, you know, even if they're younger. And that's just, you know, what happens. And then the people around us think that we have it, when a lot of times we're just holding it together. And that's where, you know, you were going, I think.
Yes. That's exactly where I was going. See, I wasn't supposed to say it. You were supposed to finish it. No, that's exactly where I was going. I just feel like there's a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure in general nowadays for human beings to have it together. Like, you have to be able to be responsible, have integrity, show up for your family, show up fully for your work. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and I think sometimes responsibility blocks the door to vulnerability. Either we have a belief that, you know, we're too busy and don't really have time to open that box. You know, like, do I want to have that difficult conversation? Because now I know that we have to actually move through it. And, like, I don't know if we'll be okay afterwards. And sometimes friendships and partnerships and connections end.
Yeah.
And therapeutic relationships, you know, like with Andrew.
Yeah. That's important too, because you should not be just working with somebody because they want you to be their client. They want to sell you the package deal. You talk about that a lot on your Instagram too. It should be because there's supposed to be a connection there. That's, I think, like a bigger connection that's more important than the check that you're getting, or the number of clients that you're trying to build, right? And that's why it's important. And I think a lot more people working in positions like you need to be more open to have somebody like me who's going to say, you know what, I'm good now. Like, I don't need you anymore because I'm doing better. And that's okay. It's okay for me to be doing better, you know? And I think
It's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's like literally the goal. And it took me so long to learn that, because I thought I was like in this cycle of like working with people, working in different therapeutic programs and containers. And I thought, okay, this is kind of just what I need. And this is my life. And this is what I'm going to keep on needing because it's a part of who I am. But it's actually not. It's like a small thing in my life that led me to different places and that taught me different things and led me to people like you. And it was to help me actually get back to myself and not, you know, be a part of myself. And it was supposed to, bring me back home to me, you know?
Yes, exactly what Andrew just said, right? Like, to hear you say that my inner child that created IBIM, like, the little girl who just wanted to be able to be herself, to forget what she is saying and people not think that she's, less than, right? Like the little girl who just wanted to be understood. Like I constantly say, I want to be the person that I needed when I was growing up and struggling. So to hear you say that you found you, like you realized you no longer need to look outside of you and you turned inward, and that is enough, and that's all you need. So you don't need this external thing to validate that. To hear that, my inner child is literally doing jumping jacks. Like I am, like, yes, that's the name, of my business, but it's deeper than that. It's like people ask, why isn't it I am, I be? Like a lot of people want to say I am first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, no, because I know how to be so that I am. I know who I am, right? So that I am. Harnessing that, if like, that's my dream. Like if every individual could harness that part, and then we all take turns playing basketball with each other, and then not being jealous of like the Kobe Bryants. There's some Kobe Bryants in my life, and it's like envy. Like, you gotta name it. Like, yo, it's okay too to be human and say.
It's information, to be honest, like it's information. And I'm thinking of Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, and how she talks about mapping your jealousy and how that's so important, because jealousy is just information. It's telling us something that we desire, for ourselves. And we may not want it exactly like the other person, but if we follow that trail without judging ourselves and also judging that other person that we're being jealous of, we can go somewhere, that maybe we didn't know before.
And also, I think jealousy, if you really look at it and break it down, what it is that you're saying, oh, that person has something and I envy that because I feel like I deserve that thing too. And that's another part of yourself that you kind of connect with and say, well, I know I deserve that thing. So this jealousy is teaching me not only that that's something that I want, but it's something that I know I also deserve. And that's a special thing. Jealousy shouldn't be looked at as like so horrible if you're actually listening to it the proper way, just like all emotions and, yes.
Bars. Listen, because there's some emotions that we are racist towards. I know that's whatever. Some of the stuff I
racist,
say.
prejudice, whatever.
Yeah.
We're discriminatory
You
towards,
get it?
yeah.
Any of those words.
We oppress them.
No, we oppress them. Yeah. We oppress them. And
repress them.
We repress them.
Yeah.
We try to make them disappear. And then they're like, please can I exist? Jealousy. Please can I exist? Anger. Please can I exist? Sadness. Right? And society is like, no, be a robot. You need nothing to fear but fear itself.
That's terrifying. That's more scary.
Right?
Or we suppress it and then it comes out in very harmful ways. Either harmful to ourselves or harmful to others.
Yeah. So what would healthy anger look like? This is actually a really good transition. See? We don't plan these things. It just easily flows. So, one of the spirit animals.
Oh yeah, we didn't do the spirit
animal.
I know. That's right. There we go.
I know. So we're gonna like mix it up a little today, because so many, I would say, spirits have been coming saying, hey, what about me? What about me? What about me? For highly sensitive people, okay, it's okay to have boundaries too, right? Because sometimes we can feel that pull and then we get compassion fatigue. where like we just don't have it in us to empathize anymore.
Yeah.
So to avoid that, we have to have emotional boundaries. And that means, it doesn't mean ignoring anger when anger is like, hey, I want to come out. Sadness, hey, I want to come out. Jealousy, hey, I want to. It's not ignoring them. It's actually saying, okay, you exist. Let's have tea.
Cheers.
Right? So, and it's like, let's explore. Let's explore what this is. So one of the spirit animals that have come into the space is the wasp. I can't wait to hear what the about. Okay. So something that really, really stuck out for me with the wasp was last episode, episode 5 was the bee. And then it's like the wasp, right? Can easily be mistaken for a bee. So I decided to kind of zoom in on, the nuances between the wasps. So what's interesting is wasps still have that queen mentality, right? Difference is the queen rotates. So each season, like each spring, one queen steps down and another queen steps into the queen position.
This is the bee you're talking about.
No,
or
this
the
is the wasp.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. So for bees, it's like you got the queen bee, you better protect the queen bee or everyone dies.
Yeah.
Right? Wasp, they take these cycles, these turns of leadership, right? And I just imagine how the queen wasp that had all of the wasps, the worker wasps, like around it, supporting it, to then choose to step down so that another queen can rise into that position takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
A lot of humility.
Beautiful.
So when we're talking about like anger or some of these other emotions that we tend to suppress, I look at it as the stinger. Well, what do you guys think? What are some of the messages? Like, I'm like,
I mean, when you were talking about the queen situation, like the transition situation, I was thinking about what we were talking about when it comes to caregiving and things like that. Like, I think a sustainable community or family or friendship or whatever, right? Relationship, team. I think there needs to be leadership positions and then the changing of those leadership positions. Like, say if, you're even in a relationship, right? One person may need to, it needs to be clear sometimes, like who's the leader, who's the supportive, aspect, right? And then, there's a role switch that occurs. And that is so helpful because then not all of the pressure, not all of the planning, not all of the creating, not all of the, container holding is just with one person because that's unsustainable. And as caregivers, when we're constantly doing that and constantly being that and we don't have support to like sort of switch the role for a second or to provide respite for the person that was in the leadership position for a while, that's when we burn out. That's when we get resentful. That's when we get in situations where it's just unhealthy, like inside as well as, within the relationship.
That just took me on such a journey because so last night I was thinking about today and like what things I could say, things we could think about. And I was taken on this journey of just like, while you were talking, breathing in and out, and how when you breathe in, that's like, you're breathing life and your chest puffs out, and that's kind of very leader. And then when you breathe out, you kind of go back and relate. And I was getting a visual really of like relationships and how sometimes you need to be the one to breathe in and like, you're doing something and taking leadership in any sort of dynamic. And then sometimes you need to breathe out. And like lately, I've been finding that balance of like breathing in and out. And like, when the whole first part of my life was really just like breathe. I think the first part of my life, childhood, was like breathing in, and I was so vibrant and passionate about different things and like being creative. And then I was breathing in too much, and then the pressure comes on, and then when you breathe out, it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit more strained because you've been holding your breath for too long. And I had to breathe out for a long time because I breathed in for such a long time, right? And then, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, and so like lately, I've really just been figuring out how to just like take those shallower breaths, because sometimes you don't need to do the deep breathing. Sometimes it's like, it's nice to just simmer, and that's what life has been like for me. This is like a breathing out day, you know, where I get to kind of go back in and look inward, get a little bit more deep, because I've been doing the LA kind of like life manifesting thing, and it's nice to find that balance. But I like the visual I was getting, because like life is just like breathing in and out, duality, like, you know, highs and lows.
Yes, yes. And we tend to, when it gets to the lows, you know, we tend to avoid the lows. But then the lows keep pulling, like, hey, you still have to address me. So this is what I would love to do. Andrew, there's a card deck underneath your chair.
Oh my gosh. Oh. How'd that get there?
Magic.
Really?
So this is a new deck. All right. I have no clue who this individual is, but we're going to say their name and their deck because it's spot on. And what I find, I would say, amazing about this is I found this just like on a site that sells multiple different things, and me being a creator as well, and I know I'm not alone in this, who has at times maybe would have doubt, right, of like putting a product out there, or feel like, oh, well, the people in my life, or, you know, my community, you know, isn't purchasing, you know, my service, or, right? And we can think that we're not being seen and that we're not actually being valued, or that our work was done in vain. So that's why I wanted to just like name. I have no clue who this person is. I didn't walk in the store. I just felt like I needed a new deck, looked online, and this happened to pop up. So artists, if you have a project, if you have an item, a product, whatever it is, and you don't think the people closest to you get it, and they literally have not supported by getting it, like purchasing it, put it out there anyway. I don't care if it annoys people, just get it out, because there's some stranger, this individual called Sienna, who doesn't know who Cara Elizabeth is, but this deck has been spot on. So I would like to promote, if you're looking for an oracle deck that is focused on animal medicine, Cara Elizabeth, animal apothecary, I can't say it.
It's okay, apothecary.
Thank you.
Yes. It could be Cara
Can
too.
you say it
Maybe
again?
it could be Cara, but
Okay.
who knows? Cara.
Okay, you read it.
Animal apothecary, Cara Elizabeth, or Cara Elizabeth.
Perfect.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay.
Does it say who illustrated it, or maybe she illustrated it as
Maybe
well?
she did. Let's see. Oh, she did the cover design and illustration.
She's bomb.
Yeah.
She is.
She's bomb.
For
Okay.
$22.99.
Look. All right. So she's bomb. Let's open the deck.
Right.
Okay.
Ooh, I love it already.
Yes. And Andrew, I would like for you to do the honors.
Let's see.
What do you? And then I want you to ask a question that you think is relevant to what's going on in society right now.
Okay. I'm feeling the queen bee kind of thing, like the queen wasp, how they step in and out, and how that takes a lot of humility, and how right now, maybe if our leaders had some of that humility, then it would be easier to swap out the queens, you know. That would be great. Alrighty, so like let's just get something about that, something about the queen and how that really connects to like politics, I guess you could just say. All right. I'm really feeling this one right here.
Oh
Oh my gosh. That's beautiful.
That's so cute.
Okay, let me show the camera. Service, literally.
So cute, little service dog.
Service. Okay.
Service
Now I
dogs are
miss
the
my
most
puppy.
humble.
Can
They're
you
the
read
cute.
the story?
I will.
Now I miss my puppy.
This is
And it's the world,
so
and that's like kind of like
cute.
power.
Yeah,
symbol.
that is actually.
Like, that's
yeah, actually, let me
perfect.
see that.
What number? Is it a number?
yes, number
14.
All right. Ooh, I almost flipped right to it. Okay, seeing eye dog. This card image focuses on a seeing eye dog, which exemplifies the concept of selfless service as they dedicate their entire existence to being guides for others. When a seeing eye dog is assisting a blind person, their purpose becomes one. This oneness reflects what the world is in dire need of, service. Second to suffering, service is the next best vehicle. Second to suffering, service is the next best vehicle to tame the ego, jumpstart your growth, blossom into yourself, and get over a painful experience. The wounded healer, an archetype conceived by Carl Jung. Is it Jung or Jung?
Young.
Carl Jung speaks of a person who becomes healed by being of service to others. This is great. When receiving the medicine of the seeing eye dog, you understand that service will always lead to some form of success. This is not the superficial understanding of material success, which is based on popularity, looks, status, or the amount of money in your bank account. This is so pointed. I love it. Long-lasting and eternal success create an energy that can never be destroyed. Excuse me. This is the energy that is created when we are of service to others, everlasting spiritual wealth. Service is a conductor of blessings both in this life and in hereafter. It acts as a magnet for profound personal blessings and eternal success. When we are truly selfless, we begin to align with the nature of our existence. We recognize that we are all connected, and essentially the entirety of multiple universes and ourselves are all one. This harmony with reality attracts hidden gifts produced by our alignment. Seeing Eye Dog's medicine shares that a blessing is approaching through your selfless acts. Dedicate yourself to some form of service to another. Your acts of service will be felt and noticed. Success will follow. Seeing Eye Dog's medicine is to help yourself by helping another. That's beautiful. Wow.
You see, I mean, guys, it's just spot on with everything that we have been talking about, like on this. And something that I'm hearing is it's an internal knowing, right? To know that by being of service, you are helping yourself. It's like the antidote to resentment, right? It's the antidote to resentment. It takes people out of that cage of needing to give back when we serve from a place of I'm being of service because this is what I'm here to do, right? Like the river, I imagine, doesn't curse every person that bends over to drink from her, right? The river knows I'm fresh water, so people are going to come and drink. So as we move through the waters of our emotions and we kind of move through the challenges of living a human existence, if we can just remember we are here to serve, everything else is serving something, you know? So instead of taking, you know, we can serve. And it kind of makes me think about what would healing look like if it didn't have a price tag?
That's a great
Well, it would look like how it looked like for thousands of years. It would look like non-commodified spirituality.
Yes.
And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
The thing is, I think because we have, you know, traveled towards being, you know, in other societies, they were the people that were the healers. They were protected. They were taken care of. They were provided for. You know, the society provided for them so that they could provide the medicine, and they didn't have to, you know, provide for themselves. But because we live in a different type of society now, if our calling is to be healers, if we are initiated, like through ancestral lineage, as well as however that initiation comes, we have to now, quote unquote, right, like sort of get money for or be provided in some way, because the society doesn't have that structure anymore. We can rebuild those societies,
Which we're doing.
in the small ways that we can, right? And we can create those communities again, but they're not the norm.
That's That's the
Here.
part.
Here and other places that are more capitalist oriented.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, because that has literally been my just resistance in general. Like when you're speaking of this community building, and as we've been building that container together. And, I think where it gets tricky is when we're rooted in our ancestral wisdom and teachings and tradition, and we're moving from that space, but then we still have to operate in this system, right? There's this thin line between what you can do, what you can't do, the roles, and the hierarchy of the roles, and you are client and I am therapist, and right, like all of that. And then we kind of introduce these, I would say, philosophies that literally have been taken from us, taken from our indigenous practices. And you look at something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization is at the top of the pyramid. But the Blackfoot tribe, my ancestral lineage, self-actualization is actually the first. And it's not a pyramid. It's a circle. It's a medicine wheel. It's right. We are actually sharing. We're taking those turns with those roles, right? And it's not you have to have food, shelter, and all these things, money in order to actualize yourself. It's I be, I am. I believe excellence is all of me. Here I am. What am I here to do? Who am I? Who do I pretend to Who do I pretend to be? Who does society say I am? Right? Like, we've all done that work collectively and individually. And when we speak of what it would look like if healing didn't have a price tag, it would look like me not sitting in this chair. See, I'm about to out myself right now. It would look like me not sitting in this chair, hearing the marketing people in the back of my head saying, you're not talking about what IBIM is, and how are you marketing your business right now when you could be doing that? Like, literally, that is so annoying. It's so annoying because I'm like, yeah, but that's not what we're here. We're not here for that. It's like, well, that's what they're going to ask you. They're going to see this episode and they're going to be like, you didn't ask. How have I changed your life?
Yeah, I didn't give a testimony.
I know.
I think what you're talking about, right, is IBIM. Like, the testimony is who you are.
Yeah.
Is who you are in this moment. How are you showing up?
Exactly.
How are you processing? Like earlier, you processed something that we were talking about very well, using your body, and that's the part that is missing sometimes, especially in therapeutic containers, I'll say, is the part where we're integrating it all, you know, so that it makes sense for you.
Yes.
Because you're the expert of your life, you know, we're not. And, you know, why I love expressive arts, I guess, is that, and we can take it back even to, or like connect it to Carl Jung. You know, Jung talks about active imagination, and a lot of things that we do when we paint, when we just like sit and we talk, you know, without having a agenda, or when we draw on ourselves as we're doing whatever, right?
Like you can book her for that.
Those things that we do, right? Like, if we then go back in, right, and then make meaning, you know, we'll notice things that we didn't notice before. We'll notice things that were more in the unconscious realm, you know, before they came forth. You know, we don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. Like sometimes I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, you know, in our conversation, but what is going to come out is going to be meaningful. Yeah. Like, I think that's the part. Yeah, I just feel like if we are able to notice, you know, how we are in our therapeutic relationships as well as our like everyday relationships, and we give space to that unconscious realm, like we'll have more, I think, learning and have like we give space for the mystery itself, and that allows for something to happen that hasn't before.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That's why I've rewatched, I think the first episode, I think I rewatched it twice because I got different things each time. And I do that with a lot of things. I watch movies and TV shows twice and like several times over because I think I've just naturally been someone who's like open to receiving like new experiences and new emotions and observing different things each time you look at this one carpet, you know what I mean? So I think it's more important. It's less important to like, you know, watch it twice than it is to just try to be open the first time to like receiving the things. Because, you know, not everyone has time to watch your podcast twice over, but
but you did. And
but I did. But yeah, being open to just like observing things. Like on my way here, I was like, okay, Spirit, send me a message through these cars that are changing lanes right now. And like, what can I observe? And what is that gonna activate in my brain that I can see some sort of lesson or some sort of analogy with these cars? And that's just, I think, connecting it back to the humble dog, the seeing eye dog. Like that would just help a lot of people to be more like of service to others if they have more of that like reflection, seeing the connection from within and to the outside world and the things they're seeing and what that does for them inside and just the connection there.
I love the connection. Are we feeling ready to do the closing experience together?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you said what is that? Yeah. Okay, well, that includes you playing the piano.
Oh, right.
Look.
Yeah, that's me. I am the closing experience. Love that.
Andrew will play what Andrew feels called to play, and Preena and I will join you vocally in some way.
Okay.
Okay, work. I love that. That's great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see that.
Good thing we had some tea.
I know.
All right, my dears. Are you down to do an active imagination exercise
Yes.
together? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So just shake off any lingering energies. We just had like an awesome conversation, and we're just talking about the nervousness of playing something, and just shake that all off. Find yourself, find your center, and feel your feet on the ground. You can place your hands on your lap. Just take a deep breath. Take a couple deep breaths at your own pace. And I just want to remind you that this exercise is a moment to allow yourself to have anything come up. There's no right or wrong. There's no mistakes. So whatever comes through vocally, whatever comes through musically, just allow it space. Whether your mind thinks it's broken or not, that it makes sense or not, that it's melodious or not. And also just forget everything that I just said. And just play whatever comes through.
That was pretty. You guys did so good. I love that.
What? That was such a beautiful process.
I love that.
If there's like an aesthetic response that you can give to what just came up, what would you do in a gesture or a word or a phrase or movement?
It felt very river.
River.
Like, you know, because rivers are very like, you know, the water signs are just known to be emotional, and it felt very deep, like ocean deep, but they're beautiful and they're calm, and that like melancholiness can sometimes be validating, you know? So I think it's necessary to play stuff like that. That's like a mix of, it's just like river, you know? It's a mix of happy, melancholy,
I feel the river.
peaceful. Yeah.
river.
I love it.
How about you, sis? How about you, sis?
I wanted to keep going. I'm like, we can keep going. No.
It was going on for too long. Oh my God.
No, it was great, and you know, it just felt super regulating. Like I just felt it almost felt like you were giving me this step down into groundedness. Like,
Love that.
yeah. So the way that you went up and then down through the scale, it really kind of aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really felt a sense of groundedness, like this like wavy feeling, just like holding
Yeah, I
myself.
love. See, that's what I do when I meditate. Every time I meditate, I always go like this. I end up doing it super unconsciously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I probably
that's
did it on camera as well,
love
like
that.
while I was singing. Yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
So,
Thank you guys for taking that journey.
thank you
Yeah.
guys. Beautiful. That was so
And
nice.
thank you guys
Thank
for
you,
tuning in.
everybody.
Hope you guys practice this on your own too, like just however you can.